Alright, good morning, good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 24th, and we're going to go over the break-even trade that we took today. So, coming into today on the 4 hour, um, 4 hour, in my opinion, was honestly looking more bearish. We had opened up definitely more bearish. Obviously, that ended up flipping, and we ended up wicking out these lows, but yeah, overall bearish. My bias was kind of okay. We're flipping out of this gap overnight, and then that's kind of what we were both doing on both indexes. And as you can see, coming into market open, we were pretty bearish looking. We inverse hourly gap. ES was definitely up a bit more, but Nasdaq was up a bit more. ES was definitely looking more bearish. And I mean, this candle right off the market open was like down here, I believe. So that obviously was just a super volatile, wicky candle, whatever the heck you want to call it. But yeah, that was kind of my bias coming into the day, was flipping out of this gap, bearish. I'm looking for these lows, more than likely. And that's obviously what we got. But yeah, let's talk about the actual trade that I took. Again, 15-minute, also looking pretty bearish, but flipping. We have inverse gap to the upside, inverse gap to the downside. We were really consolidated during London session for sure on both indexes, especially on Nasdaq, and Asia session was also pretty consolidated. So still not like a crazy move out of this gap, but overall that was kind of my bias coming into the day. Overall, not like a super strong bias, and I'm gonna take the market as it comes. That's kind of how I'm gonna work, and yeah, that's exactly what I did. So, off market open, ES is super close to these draws, so that is telling me, okay, we're more than likely gonna take them out. Right after market open, we end up absolutely having a massive candle to the downside, pretty much almost sweeping them out, and then we get a retracement up into where we actually could have gotten an entry for this trade, and then we end up going to the downside. The reason why I didn't want to take this trade, I had it kind of marked out. I just feel like, in my opinion, this is not the highest probability trade. I mean, you would have to rock your stop loss there, and then this would have been your trade. And in my opinion, taking a limit order right off of market open, right on the third candle of market open, is not the best idea. So that's not what I did. And instead, I wanted to wait on NASDAQ because more than likely, when we sweep out these lows on ES, we're more than likely going to go on NASDAQ and sweep out the exact same lows most of the time. Obviously, we have times where we SMT lows, but most of the time that is what we do. So that's kind of what I was taking my trade off of. And yeah, obviously, ES's trade played out. In my opinion, just didn't want to take it because it's such a short. I mean, if we had this candle here, we could just so easily get wicked out and then still deliver. And in my opinion, I just don't want to take a. We didn't have much price develop, and yes, this is a confirmation that we have broken past these lows, and these lows are really the only thing that's keeping us from taking out these previous day lows that we had down here. And I just price didn't develop as much, and I wanted to wait on Nasdaq because if you look at Nasdaq, we're developing a lot better in my opinion. Like, this price action looks a lot better than taking this little blip of a trade on ES. So yeah, on Nasdaq we were also confirming our draw by pushing past these lows. Then we came up and we went into this area where I could get an entry and then still get a good 1-to-1. I felt like my stop loss was definitely more protected up here than it was, only like a couple points away from where it was on ES. So overall, this is the trade that I took, and it did end up playing out pretty well at the start. Obviously, we ended up getting stopped out for break even, but we had good volatility candles to the downside. We just happened to, wick them out, and that's just how it's going to work sometimes, especially when you're targeting the lagging index. But it is still a decent probability that that trade is going to play out, and overall still was good price action coming into that trade. It's not like it was a necessarily bad trade or a poor trade in my opinion. It just didn't play out with probabilities. So also, something I forgot to mention was my complete, like, why the heck I'm even targeting these lows. Anyways, yeah, the reason why I was targeting these lows, they're kind of, I mean, not relative equal lows because technically we did sweep them out, but overall these are good. These are a good draw. They weren't used to fill in a fair value gap. They weren't used to do anything like that, and they're overall strong draws. And then to the upside, the only draws that we really um, had that I was looking at were these up here. They weren't the best draws, and that's because we had used them to fill in this gap, and obviously from this rejection, we pushed way lower. So from there, I was just kind of looking at, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to sweep, or sorry, are we going to confirm above London highs first or London lows? Well, obviously my bias was bearish coming into the day, so I'm wanting us to confirm to London lows, and we obviously did that. That's what this white line is. We confirmed the London lows on both indexes. Then from there, we obviously SMT'd these lows. And then this also is a potential trade that we could have taken. It was kind of just a direct repeat of yesterday. Yesterday, we had the exact same thing happen. ES took out these highs. NASDAQ failed to take them out. NASDAQ had an absolute dumper of a candle, and then we ended up playing out bearish. Well, what happened today? We failed to deliver to these lows, absolute crazy candle, and then we delivered to these highs. But the thing is, in my opinion, and I know that Jack more than likely took this trade, because he took yesterday's trade like that. The only thing is I just feel like this isn't a trade that I'm ready to take at the moment. I feel like my discretion is not at the point where I would feel fully comfortable taking this. In my opinion, I would want to wait for a retracement. We didn't get a retracement. If we would have gotten a retracement, like here, and then bang, there, 100%, entering that all day long. But we just didn't, and that's kind of what I was looking for. So we didn't get an entry to that trade either, which is a bummer. But overall, the draw on this being the next draw was correct. It's just, in my opinion, I don't really want to enter off of just one singular candle. And then overall, those stop loss would have been rocked pretty safely. And obviously, the trade would have played out well. I just think, in my opinion, I would rather have this and then wait for a retracement or something like that. But on the other hand, though, there really was not anything in here stopping us from coming up and taking these highs. So that is understandable why you would enter off of just this and then target these highs. And then from there, yeah, we pretty much just consolidated the rest of the day. And yeah, came up, made these highs, and at this point I was saying, okay, if we can come in and fill this gap and then get good pushes out past this high, which we kind of did. We did actually, but obviously this was not delivering for me. I wanted to see a retracement down and then up, and that's the only, retracement down and then an extension, and that's the only way I would have taken a trade up to these highs, because clearly this trade is not playing out. You know what I mean? That we're just monkeying around. So I don't know. I felt like it was definitely a market open with a lot of stuff going on. My trade locker wasn't even working, so I had to take this trade on paper trading on TradingView, which was stupid. You can literally only do limit orders, which is gay, but whatever. But overall, yeah, content with today's trade. I think there's things I can improve on. I think just being more open to taking trades like this and understanding why. And my why would be, well, there isn't really anything stopping us from going up. And this is a candle that doesn't form much. There's not many candles that are this big. Like this is I think it was like 100-point candle. Okay, maybe not. No, it was a 100-point move from here to here. which is a relatively big move. You know what I mean? So I think there's things to improve on, but overall, I am content with this. I would say most times this actually would play out and we would end up taking out these draws. We just happened to get SMT'd, but we had a good entry that we were able to go break even once we hit these internal lows, and that's exactly what we should have done because it was the lagging index. So we 100% should have done exactly what we did, and overall, yeah, I mean, break even trade. I'm content with that. I'm excited to see what the rest of the week brings, but yeah, overall, wasn't able to get an entry up to here. Otherwise, if we would have gotten a retracement down into where we could have gotten a good risk reward, we would have 100% taken the trade up to here. We just weren't able to get that, and then after that, we just kind of slowed down. So yeah, overall, super content, and I'm excited to see what next week brings, or no, the rest of the week.